morning, dear children. This is Manik Shah. So, children, today we shall talk about the new conservatisms who came into power in 1815. And here we try to learn how they came into power and why did these new conservatisms who came into power after 1815. So before we talk about the Congress of Vienna as well as this main objective of these new conservatisms, we shall learn the background of Napoleons and how the Napoleons had war with these new conservatisms and how the Napoleon who lost the power to this European power. So dear children, here already we know very well that the Napoleons who was himself considered one of the great emperor of France, and he came into power in 1799 and his ruling period was 1799 to 1804, and he was the constitutional monarchy, and during his ruling period the France society, they used to enjoy their lives because his ruling systems was very effective in the society. His focus was mainly on the development of the societies. He developed the societies, developed the peoples, and then he incorporated some of these democratic values in his ruling period, and his administrative system was centralized in democratic values, and that is the reason peoples they used to appreciate his ruling period. So dear children, here his main ambitions was to redraw the map of France, and in order to extend his geographical areas as well as to redraw the map of this France, he was continuously having war with the small kingdoms, war with these rulers, then conquering them, winning over them, and he was adding them into his geographical boundaries, or he was making all these regions as his kingdoms. So as he was having war with these small kings as well as with this emperor, during that time what he was doing? He was destroying the powers of this ruler. So when he was continuously destroying the powers of this ruler, and especially we know the Bourbon dynasty who lost his power, and after losing the power of this Bourbon dynasty, we see that this Napoleon who is coming into power, and when he is coming into power, he made the 39 confederations, then he developed the systems, he developed the nations, and during that time he had the war with these European powers in 1813, and here the European powers are the Britain, the Russia, the Prussia, the Austria, who are collectively known as the European powers, and he had war with them. And when he had war with them, finally he was not able to get victory over them, and he ran away from them, and in 1815 once again he came with second army, and he was trying to have winning over these European powers, but he was not successful in winning over these European powers, because here the European powers who are collectively more powerful, so they got victory over Napoleons here, and these Napoleons who lost in 1815, and here the collective powers known as the European powers, they are imprisoning him and putting him in putting him in an island, keeping him in island, and they are not permitting him to come to these kingdoms area. They are just putting him away from these kingdoms because they do not want to have any kind of interruptions during this period of times, because all these European powers once again in 1815 they came into power and they began to emphasize that all these developments will happen in the societies only with these new conservatisms, because there is a great need to restore the powers of these conservatisms, because the conservatisms will develop the societies. So dear children, these new conservatisms in 1815s, they had the Congress at Congress of Vienna, and they begin to discuss that what was the secret of Napoleon's success during his ruling period. So they begin to understood that why the Napoleon was very successful during his working period. And in order to understand the success of this Napoleonic era, they closely understood the great topics as well as the great objectives of Napoleonic rule, because when Napoleon came into power, he made certain changes in the societies, and because of certain changes, the peoples in France, they enjoyed their life. So dear children, here we try to understand, or we will try to understand the objective of the Congress of Vienna in 1804, because here at Congress of Vienna there was a peace treaty. After this war in 1815, there was a meeting at this Congress of Vienna. We see the representatives Duke Metternich who organized the meetings here, and they begin to discuss what was the secret of Napoleonic rule. ठीक हो रहा है sir? So dear children, so after the defeat of these Napoleons in 1815, now the conservatisms, they are believing that there is a need to be restore the established institutions like church, state, society, monarchy, social hierarchies, the family. All these established institutions should be preserved here, because they begin to understood the importance of this new conservatisms, and they said that all these established institutions should be preserved here. So after the defeat of these Napoleons in 1815, there was a meeting at Vienna, and it was made by the conservatives, and these leaders was Duke Metternich. This Duke Metternich, he was representing the societies. He was organizing the meeting at Congress of Vienna, and when there was a meeting, they begin to understand the changes that made by the Napoleons, and they thought that all these changes that had made by the Napoleons will help these traditional institutions here, and they begin to exaggerate that all these institutions will further inspire as well as help the Napoleons here. So dear children, now in the Congress of Vienna, at the meetings made by the conservatives, they are beginning to understand the success of Napoleons. They are reconsidering that what was this factor which helped the Napoleons to be a very successful ruler. So they are analyzing the Napoleonic era, and they are beginning to discuss that these are the things which are going to be very, very helpful to the ruler to become a successful ruler. The first one is Napoleons, the first one we shall talk here, that what was the changes which made the Napoleons during his ruling period. During the ruling period of Napoleons, he constructed a modern army. So here the conservatisms are discussing that a modern army, which are very, very important because it is essentials for a ruler. This modern army will protect the ruler. It will protect their territories. That is why the modern army is very, very essentials for a ruler here. After that, they discussed that an efficient bureaucracy. An efficient bureaucracy is very, very important for a ruler. Why it's very important? Dear children, here we understand that during this Napoleonic period, Napoleon was having a very efficient bureaucracy and his administrative structures was centralized with an effective bureaucracy because talented officials was there during his ruling period. That is why here the conservatisms are saying that we need to have the efficient bureaucracy which will help the rulers to have the structured administrations. And they consider that we need to have the dynamic economy. The dynamic economy will help us to buy the things, or it will help. The dynamic economy will help us to buy goods in the societies. At the same time, they begin to consider the abolitions of feudalisms because when Napoleon came into power, he abolished the feudalisms as well as serfdom. So here he is freeing peasants. Here the word serfdom means he is freeing peasants here. And here feudalism means there should be the ownerships. There should be the ownerships these peasants should have. So he abolished this system of feudalisms when he came into power. When Napoleon came into power, he abolished the systems of feudalisms and he freed the peasants here, and they begin to understand that if we adopt these methods of Napoleon's strategies of ruling, then it will strengthen the monarchy systems. Because here, when we are abolishing these feudalisms as well as freeing the peasants here, it is centralizing that our ruling systems is centralized among the peasants. And here the peasants will be given more importance because we are talking about their benefits, we are giving importance to them, and that is the reason during the Napoleonic era the peasants were very, very happy. They were prosperous, they were very happy because he abolished the system of feudalisms, he abolished the system of serfdom, freeing the peasants and centralized his administrative systems and given importance to peasants here. So here the conservatives realize that all these things we need to have in our ruling systems, and if we have all these things, then our monarchy system is going to be very, very successful. It's going to be very, very successful in the society. So, dear children, as these conservatisms were making an effort to study this Napoleonic era, and they were learning here that what was the things which made Napoleons very successful, they came to understand that the Napoleons, he was giving more importance to the farmer, and he made a very good effort to develop the societies. And when he was giving more importance to farmer, it was attracting the peoples. It was attracting the peoples, building confidence among the peoples, and that is the reason the Napoleonic rule was very popular and it was very, very effective during this period of 1799 to 1804, because he made certain changes in his time period or in his ruling period. He made all these changes. So dear children, right now we shall learn here that what are the changes that was made at the Congress of Vienna, which was held in 1815. So here we will learn that what was the changes they made after defeating the Napoleon in 1815 here. First of all, they restored the power of Bourbon dynasty, because during the French revolutions, here the Bourbon dynasty who lost its power. So here the first things they did was they restored the power of Bourbon dynasty. And after that, we see that the France, which lost the territories which was annexed during the time of Napoleon's. And the second changes they made was the France, which was the territories which was remaining same during these conservatisms also. Because children, we understand that France who lost its territory, which was controlled or which was captured by the Napoleon. And the third changes they made here was a series of states which were set up the boundaries of France, because a series of states which was set up, and they made the boundaries, and they said that the France should be prevent to expand here. So here, what are the third changes they made here? A series of states were set up on the boundaries of France and to prevent its expansion. And here the Prussia was given, the four changes they made when they discussed at the Congress of Vienna, and the changes was Prussia was given new territories on its western frontiers. So here the Prussia was part of these new conservatisms. They were given the territories on its western frontiers. That means in western part, this Prussia was given its new territories here. And here the German confederations that was made during the time of Napoleon's, it was untouched. It was not touched. They did not do anything which was the changes that made during the time of Napoleon's, in order to have better administrative, he created the confederations of 39 states, and those areas were not touched by these conservatisms. And in the eastern part, the Russia was given some part of Poland, while the Prussia was given some portions of Saxony here. So dear children, here we understood that these are the changes which was made at the Congress of Vienna. So let's have the recapitulations that in 1815 the European powers who came together and they defeated Napoleon's, and when they defeated Napoleon's, they put him in an island and they made him to stay away from all this kingdom. And when the Napoleon was stay away from this kingdom, they begin to understand that we need to restore all this traditional monarchy, which is very, very important. Then after the restorations of these traditional institutions, they begin to realize that what was the secrets which made Napoleon to be a successful ruler. They begin to understand that it was the efficient officer, it was the modern army. These Napoleons who abolished the system of feudalism, serfdom. At the same time, Napoleon developed the societies. So all these things they begin to analyze, and they said that all these things will help this monarchy to have more successful in the societies. So after understanding or realizing this success which given to this Napoleon, they begin to implement all these things that this Napoleon had done during the time of his monarchy or during the time of his ruling period. So dear children, just recently I have told you that what was the changes that made after the Congress of Vienna, that the Bourbon dynasty, who lost its power during the French revolutions, was restore its power here. Second, the France, who lost the territories during these Napoleons, it was also restored here, and a series of states which was made or which was set up on the boundaries of France and said that all these areas should not be expanded again. And the fourth one is the Prussia was given the new territories on its western areas. The German confederations that was made during the time of Napoleon's, it was untouched. And in the eastern part, Russia was given part of Poland, while the Prussia was given some areas of Saxony. So these are the changes which was happened at the Congress of Vienna.